How do you leverage your professional relationships in the mortgage industry, especially in this COVID-19 time, and especially when there's such amazing volume, both good and bad? This is the Mortgage Banking live stream. Welcome. This is the Mortgage Banking live stream. Today is October 21st, 2020. I'm Troy at Garris Horn, and we have a great show for you today. We're here to educate, to connect you to people and information, and to entertain. We're going to do a brief bit of politics, a brief bit of business, a brief bit of regulation. Then we're going to talk to an amazing CPA, a national CPA firm, Mark Wilson, CWDL's managing partner. A couple of shouts out before we get rolling. The MBA's convention today is the last day. They've had a great run. This has been all virtual. They've done an amazing job. And I'm happy to say that a friend of mine, Susan Stewart, who is CEO of SWBC Mortgage, has now been sworn in as chairman of the MBA for this coming term. Congratulations to you, Susan. And I know great things are going to continue to come out of that. Also, the Texas MBA, its symposium is November 17th and 18th. If you haven't signed up for that, do that. It promises to be a great experience. They have a lot of amazing speakers. Dana Wade, who is now head of FHA. Rob Chrisman's going to be there. Everybody knows Rob. Ruth Rule, a good friend and a longtime participant in Texas MBA, has a law firm that she does wonderful things at. Tracy Walder, they always have fun things. So Tracy Walder is the author of The Unexpected Spy. She's going to be speaking. You definitely want to sign up for that. Also, in connection with that, the Reverse Mortgage Day of Texas MBA is those same dates. So make sure you sign up. A couple of special things as we get started. First of all, to Laura Brandeo, who was a guest of mine last week. Laura, as everybody knows, is the president of AFR. Laura is all over the industry. She is a true leader, a master in this space. She is highly energized, highly focused, highly professional, and she does a lot of work in the community as well, especially supporting leadership and especially supporting women in mortgage and trying to champion those efforts. And thank you, Laura. Also, a couple of other things. James Alley, thank you. Great seeing you, James. Colin Luba. Colin, great to see you here. Katrina Chengwano. Katrina, great seeing you here as well. Just so many, I can't name everybody, but so many great supporters out there, and we do appreciate it. So a little bit of politics, just for the people interested. The Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett, as people know, she's probably going to be confirmed. Her confirmation is set for next Monday, and there's the Senate. The Republicans have 53 votes in the Senate, so on the Republican side. So it would take several people to vote no in order for that not to go forward. There are a couple of senators that are one that has already said she's going to vote no, and the other who's not yet saying, but it's pretty likely that Coney Barrett is going to be the next Supreme Court justice. We have less than 2 weeks to the election also. Lots of voting already happening. This is going to be a very interesting election year, and we will just have to, it's going to be down to the wire, if not past the wire, before we know what happens there. On the business side, mortgage apps are down, according to the MBA, just slightly. They were down a little bit last week, down a little bit this week, 0.6% from the week prior. And this is just the sign of a healthy market. The MBA at its convention announced that it's forecasting that purchase originations are going to be up in excess of 8% in 2021. Now, it's just a forecast, right? The app data is actual measurement. This is a forecast, but MBA is definitely looking to having substantial purchase volume, not to mention the refi volume that's been going on already anyways. On the regulatory side, the CFPB has soothed to some degree the anxiety, the fear, the concern about the expiration of the temporary QM patch or the QM patch for GSE loans. It was scheduled to expire in January of this coming year. Hard to believe, really, that we're already in January, or already in October, nearing January. And but it was scheduled to expire. Yesterday, the CFPB put out a rule that indicates that the CFPB's QM temporary QM rule will now expire on the earlier of either the GSEs go out of conservatorship. That's always been the case, anyways, or the CFPB finalizes its QM loan definition that it proposed back in June of this year. So, in essence, boiled down, the temporary QM remains until further notice, and so I think that's pretty good news. It will calm the markets. It allays some of the concerns that were there. A couple other people to say thanks and hello to. So Adam Isbell. Adam, great to see you here. Adam, a good friend of mine, also an active participant in the Texas MBA. Lisa Rogers. Lisa, thank you so much. Laura Brandeo, of course, just an awesome individual. Thank you, Laura, and thank you for being on last week. Trey Worley out of Comerica. Trey, also a former president of the Texas MBA. And again, just so many great supporters and wonderful people that are in this business. I just feel blessed every time I do this because there's so many amazing people. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in a gentleman, Mark Wilson. He's managing partner of CWDL. CWDL is a national CPA firm. It focuses a lot of its efforts on mortgage banking. And we're going to talk to Mark today about how to leverage some of your professional relationships in these particularly unusual times. So Mark, welcome to the Mortgage Banking live stream. So happy that you're here, and thank you for your time today.
You bet. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on your podcast and be talking a little bit about what's going on in the market today. It's a crazy time for a lot of our clients, for sure.
Definitely so. So tell us a little bit about you. I know that you used to own a lender. I know that you're a CPA. I know that you have a lot of things that you do in your life. But tell us a little bit of who is Mark Wilson?
So like you introduced me pretty well. I'm a managing partner of CWDL. We're a firm that specializes in the mortgage space. And I think I always kind of say that the industry found me. I started off in public accounting and started auditing mortgage banks early on, and then eventually became a CFO of a seller and servicer, and then a CFO of an independent mortgage bank. Eventually, I went and started my own mortgage bank, and we built that up and had some good years, and then we met the mortgage difficult time, I'll call it, and ended up selling out of that interest and coming back in the public accounting side. And really, from that experience, focused on building a firm to support the space and kind of build it in a way that I hoped that, or I wish I had a firm that kind of served the industry like we do. So we built it from there and brought on a bunch of really smart people to help me do that. So
it's always good to have smart people around.
Yeah. Right,
So when I think of CPA firms in our space, right, I think of, okay, everybody's got to get taxes done. Everybody's got to get bookkeeping done. Everybody needs an audit, unless you're a broker that might not. But what else do you guys do? Do you take the rest of the year off?
That's it. Yeah, we're bored the rest of the year. Yeah, no, never. No, that's a great question. I think through all of those experiences or those types of services, we learn things as a professional. We get to see what a lot of different people in the industry are doing to run their company, and we start creating ways to benchmark that information and help our clients. So we do a lot of things in between those services that really drives value. So when you talk about leveraging your professional relationships, and it doesn't even have to be in the CPA arena, but
sure.
Having professionals that really understand the industry that you're involved with. Typically you might be faced a challenge and they might have the answer. And knowing that and having the comfort to reach out to your professional network is really, really important. That's from your lawyers to your CPAs, your warehouse lenders, your hedge advisory firms, all of these different professional service groups that support the mortgage banking industry typically have the answer, or they know somebody who does. And I think the clients or the companies that really lean on that professional network, can transform their company or at least shortcut some of the tough learning curves that you have as an entrepreneur in that entrepreneurial journey.
So how does that work in the CPA sort of a context? Are you guys talking to people throughout the year? Are clients, the mortgage banking companies, do they reach out to you with questions, or how does that whole world even work?
Yeah. So a big part of our practice is this accounting outsourcing consulting, where we support accounting departments from your easy bookkeeping all the way through full CFO level services, and I think because we have a whole staff that are experts in loan vision and we provide some different experiences to help those. But to answer your questions, we're talking to our clients every single week. We are on the phone with them. We have set scheduled meetings with each one of them in those engagements. The other ones, that we have a really open relationship with our clients. Pretty much everybody who is a client has my cell phone, or they have a client lead that they have their private number, and they can reach out, and they do all hours of the night, and ask us questions. I think creating a relationship with the professionals, regardless of if you're just getting an audit done by the firm, you want to make sure that firm or that lead is available to you and available for you to reach out and ask questions. Same with tax, and regardless of what you're doing. And also we do, I think a lot of professional firms will have an outreach and they're sending information out, but creating that open dialogue, ability to reach out and ask questions is really important. And also, I think, that I think there's some clients will be hesitant because they feel like they're going to get a bill for an email or something. I think having the right relationship where you can get rid of that concern is important as well.
Yeah, it helps a lot. I find that in my own area that I have a law firm as well, and it's sometimes difficult overcoming what I think of as call reluctance, where somebody really needs your help and they would benefit. They could probably tamp down issues in advance if they would just reach out and call. But for the same reasons, people think it's the moment I pick up the phone, it's going to cost me money, and so they just focus on that aspect. But it seems like, certainly in my area, but I think also in yours, a lot of times if you have the information in advance, you can protect yourself either legally or from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, every single time, right? Like having the right answer. I think as being an entrepreneur, I think the biggest fear, and then one of the things that we all deal with, and I'm an entrepreneur as well, so are you, is you don't know what you don't know. And I know that's kind of a cliche. People say that, but it's true. And oftentimes that paralyzes you in making decisions that really can be transformational for your company. So we just, every single one of our clients, we just let them know, you just call us if you're worried about a bill. We don't send nickel and dime bills. Like, we want to have that open dialogue. And I think most professionals have a similar way of doing business. And the other side of that is obviously you have to pay for people's time and their expertise. And so that, but I think that's a two-way street, and respecting each other's time and understanding what that means. I had a call with a client last week, and we were going over a couple of things. He actually called me because he had a personnel issue. He had an employee that worked for him for over 9 years, and the company's growing like mad. It's a mortgage company, so everybody's kind of scaling up. And so there's computers and equipment coming in to the office and getting set up, and they went missing. A couple went missing, and it turned out that they discovered it was this long-term employee. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, which was then he called me to talk to me about it, which was interesting. But so we talked through that. But the point is just having that open dialogue and being able to support, and what happens next. What do you do in those situations? So.
Yeah. So do you work mostly with like CFOs, or do you work with with companies that don't have CFOs? How does that fall?
All the way. We both. We do both. We do have some kind of that broker to banker journey type of mortgage bank, but we also have some of the biggest independents in the country as well. That I think what you discover from an accounting perspective is no matter what size of company you're dealing with, their needs are constantly evolving, either because of turnover or because of a new layer of sophistication. They have to get up to speed. Maybe they get involved in their they might not be booking their loans correctly, and they need to get some advice, or they're considering going public, and they need to make sure that they have that they're ready, that they're SOC compliant, some other things that they need to get prepared for. So we see that evolution all the time, and oftentimes we start with filling a certain gap in their accounting department, and it evolves into something else. Obviously, we'll have clients that might be audit clients, and we can't really do any of their accounting department support because we're conflicted out. And sometimes that evolves, and we end up becoming conflicted, and we have to step away from the audit work and support their accounting needs. So it's a constant evolution, I think, in that whole process.
So I'm guessing that a lot of the people that are listening to this are thinking. You mentioned that you owned a mortgage company in the past, and you sold off your interests. What sort of time period was that?
That was in a very difficult time. I always say that my exit from my mortgage company wasn't a payday in the traditional sense. It was more of a I think as an owner of a mortgage company, we signed lots of personal guarantees. Yeah. We had lots of warehouse line capacities. We were doing workouts, and we did fine. But from my passion perspective, I enjoy being on this side of the table of supporting mortgage bankers more than I did from running a mortgage bank and building that up. And we know there's peaks and valleys involved in that process. That was a very difficult time for us. For me personally, it was a tough time. I mean, financially, it was a pretty big strain, to say the least. I think like a lot of different entrepreneurs that were living through that particular mortgage crisis. I think by going through that experience, it's probably given myself and our team a little bit more client side perspective. We understand what clients are going through because of that experience, and that was a difficult time for sure.
So having gone through that and knowing what you know right now about the massive volume that most, of course not everybody, but most originators are seeing, and the whole forbearance issue that is sitting out there for the servicers, any thoughts on or advice to what people who maybe didn't have that experience of that downturn, what they might want to be expecting or want to be doing now?
Yeah, we're in a, you scale up or you scale down, right? We're in a scaling up period. So people are hiring, taking on new expenses, expanding infrastructure. I always talk about you want to be ultimately staffed at like 80% of what you need, and find ways to support that other 20% from maybe outsourcing or being creative, making sure you're leveraging technology to its greatest potential to support both an upswing and a downswing. But to answer your question specifically, it's a great, harvest your profits, do a set aside. We know one thing is guaranteed in the mortgage banking space, and that's things will change.
Yeah.
There will be change. There'll be new regulations. We're going into an election period, depending upon who gets the White House. That can change drastically. You know, who oversees the CFPB, all of these things, we know will change. We don't know how they will change, regardless of who wins the White House. But when volumes are up and margins are good, it's a good time to harvest. Take advantage of it and be ready. We look at lots of different KPIs and we try to use those as predictors. But the mortgage space is heavily dependent on interest rates, and depending upon your model, how do you manage that? Understanding your business model is really important. We talk a lot at the firm with our clients about having this profit first mentality, which kind of sounds like it's contrary to a people first mentality. We don't think it is. The idea is if you carve out enough profit and you make sure that's a set aside, then you know how to make sure your company's right sized all the time. And we talk through that from a philosophical perspective. And when you're beating your profit targets, the differential, then that's the time to harvest that and do it as a set aside, because that number can switch on you pretty quick in this space.
I think actually, at the head of the show, I was talking about the associations, so the National MBA, the Texas MBA, and so on. And I'm active in those organizations, and those organizations are on the flip side right now. Even though business is doing pretty well at a lot of their members' companies, the associations themselves are suffering. And so the ones who have done sort of what you were talking about and harvested some of those revenues and set them aside they prepare themselves for these sort of the downturns. But they are hurting a lot right now. And it's difficult.
I feel for them. I feel for them and a lot of other companies out there. I remember what that feels like. It's a tough time. So the harvesting is important. Being ready.
Well, listen, I know you have a million things going on. You're running a big organization, and I don't want to take up your whole afternoon. So any final thoughts on how to leverage personal or professional relationships, rather, during these especially quirky times?
I would just say be intentional about it. I think we all get busy, and I think having an intentional plan, almost a schedule call with the people that you feel are really valuable in your network. Reach out. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been guilty of it. I had an industry person reach out to me saying, "Hey, you really should be having more meetings with your clients on a regular basis and helping, kind of guide what's going on in industry." And I go, "I do that all the time, but I happen to miss one of the clients." Yeah. So, everybody gets busy. So be intentional, because, there's a lot of information out there, and I think your professional network wants to help. So,
yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Well, listen, wise words. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I know everybody does. And so thank you for participating and joining us today. And just a couple of final comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, just hit the alarm bell or subscribe. Share the link with your friends. There's some good information. Mark, for example, had some great information today. And as always, if you have a topic that you want us to address, just send that to us. You can text me. My contact info is on the YouTube channel. So you contact me. Just text me the topic. You can email me the topic. I read all those, and we try everything we can to get good topics on, and promise to get yours on if you send it over. Have a fantastic day. This is a Mortgage Banking live stream, and we will